displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the park's professor. First hole. The distance and par are at the top of the screen. This hole is moderately downhill. It's short. It's fairly open. And honestly, the best commendation I can give it is it's a nice warm-up or maybe early birdie opportunity to get you ready to take on some of the more serious holes here. There's the view from behind the basket looking back to the tee. The second hole continues slightly downhill. It is a sweeping dogleg right. This entire course is heavily wooded, but the fairways are wider than you might expect. And so you have a decent amount of room here in order to maneuver your disc and get a good arc going so you can get around the dogleg and get yourself in position for a birdie on this hole as well. I do want to welcome you back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the park's professor. We are at Shaver Recreational Complex. We are in Seneca, South Carolina. There are two 18-hole disc golf courses at this complex. This is the original course. There's also a championship course, and I'll show you the championship course in a few months. The third hole is a double dogleg. First it's a gradual dogleg to the left, and then it's a sharp dogleg to the right. It's slightly downhill, but only slightly downhill. At this point, I need to say a word about the pars I'm showing you here. In some cases, there was a discrepancy between the par on the tee sign and the par on the information kiosk that's by the parking lot. For example, on this hole, the information kiosk had this hole as a par 4. The tee sign says this hole is a par 5. And so in every case, I've decided to go with the par that's on the information kiosk, because that par seemed more realistic to me. This is a fairly old course. This course dates to the 1990s, and my guess is the pars on the tee signs were the original pars on this course. And the game has advanced a lot since then. It's advanced a lot in terms of disc quality and also in terms of form of throwing the disc. The fourth hole is another moderately tight and slightly downhill hole. It's also another dogleg right, although this hole is a sharper dogleg than the second hole that we saw before. One other thing about this course's age, since this course dates to the 1990s, soil erosion has become a bit of a problem here. And I've read that mud can be a real problem here if it has rained recently. Now when I came here during a dry spell, and this course was actually in really good shape when I came here. But just be aware that footing can be a real problem here if it has rained recently. Fourth basket is actually the furthest point from the parking lot on this course. This course occupies a very compact plot of land. When you stand at the parking lot, you can see probably 3 or 4 tees and 4 or 5 baskets at the parking lot. Fifth hole is moderately uphill. And again, it's reasonably tight, although for a heavily wooded course, the fairways are actually quite generous here. This is also a very long hole, given the slope and given the tightness. This relative to par is probably the hardest hole on this course. If you make a 3 here, then you've had a pretty good hole. I captured this video, by the way, on Tuesday, October the 3rd. And it was a warm, sunny day in the upper 70s when I came here. I got a couple of mosquito bites when I came here, so you do have to watch out for insects and that sort of thing. Hole number 6 is shorter. It's also a little bit tighter, and it's also rather uphill. It is a dogleg right. This course goes back and forth between a series of holes that is kind of long and challenging, with a series of holes that's coming up here that are shorter and a little bit easier. Coming up here, this hole is still long enough and uphill enough that you need a good throw though in order to set up a birdie opportunity. The 7th hole is very similar to the previous hole. It's a little bit more open, and it is a dogleg left as opposed to a dogleg right. It is still fairly uphill. Again, this course goes back and forth between long and challenging holes, which were 2 through 5, and then shorter and easier holes, which is really the rest of the front 9. When we walk around to the back of the basket, you'll see that this basket is in fact misnumbered. This is the 7th basket, not the 3rd basket. This is the only misnumbered basket I encountered on this course. 8th hole is another short uphill hole. Again, the fairway's pretty wide for a hole that is this heavily wooded. One other nice thing about this course, there aren't any walking trails or roads that go through this course. And so there shouldn't be any outside interference from cars or pedestrians. This is a somewhat popular course. There were 2 other groups playing here when I came here on a Tuesday morning. The 9th and of course final hole on the front 9 is another short uphill hole. It is a little bit tighter than the previous holes, and the fairway here isn't that well defined. I think the route that I'm walking here is probably the widest and most direct path to the hole, but there are a lot of different paths that you could possibly take depending on how you want to flight your disc. That is the end of the front 9. I will see you on the back 9. Thanks for watching. Have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.